You smell that? I love the smell of video games in the morning.
Never been so much fun. 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 Go to your brother, kill him with your gun, leave him lying in his uniform, dying in the sun.
War has never been so much fun indeed, and this timeless classic is a perfect example that a game can be as simple as it needs to be, as long as it is fun. Cannon Fodder is a real-time strategy game in which you command a handful of troops in generic war scenarios, accomplishing goals like destroying enemy buildings, rescuing hostages, or just plain kill every enemy. To command them, it could not be more simple. You have a crosshair you can move, one button to advance your troops to it, and another to shoot towards it. Press both and you'll use your grenades or rocket launchers. As the missions progress, you'll be introduced to all kinds of mechanics, from swimming to rocket troops to tanks and attack helicopters. The never-ending swarm of spawning enemies that come from buildings, a la Gauntlet, can be killed with one single bullet each, but the same vulnerability is present in your own troops. And it is this touch that truly makes Cannon Fodder the game it is, an unforgiving parody of war. This simple mechanic gives the game its strategical layer. You can't just blindly run towards danger. Instead, you must assess the situation, the map layout, and even sometimes divide your already small squad into multiple instances, so you can tackle objectives from different angles. It's also the realistic point of view on friendly damage that sets the tone on Cannon Fodder, a whole story on its own. Cannon Fodder was developed for the Amiga by Sensible Software, the guys responsible for Megalomania and one of the most important sports game ever, Tiny People Playing Soccer. Tiny People Playing War was received with extremely opposing opinions due to its humorous take on the very serious subject of war. While publications like Amiga Action call it the best game of the year for its presentation and gameplay, some like the Daily Star criticized the banalization of the theme of war and the use of the Remembrance Poppy. While these accusations were not objective to Cannon Fodder as a game, they were still notorious enough to remove the poppy from the cover art. On the other side of things, Cannon Fodder's game designer, John Hare, described it as meant to be an anti-war thing, passing to the player the futility of war in the small details. Between missions you see the endless line of new recruits just waiting to become cannon fodder. Oh, I get it now. Each and every single one of your tiny troops has a unique and carefully picked name, and at the end of your mission you'll see a small homage to those who died in your service, as well to those who survived. In the beginning you will suffer the loss of jewels and jobs, but soon you'll find yourself ignoring those names as they pile up as gravestones on Recruitment Hill. To its left you have your high scores, that is, the dead soldiers that got to kill the most enemies while alive. And the icing on the cake, a nice and big scoreboard reading "Home Away", like if war was just a nice big game of baseball. And that is Cannon Fodder really, a nice, easy to pick up and play game with tons of charisma, all thanks to a bunch of small but very smart game design choices. Yet, Cannon Fodder suffers from an incredibly steep difficulty curve. From the moment rocket launcher infantry is introduced, everything changes. That nice comfy game you got used to in the last 4 missions suddenly becomes a relentless task of speed, strategy and memorization. Everything piles up, hidden booby traps, roofs that fall on top of you, enemy rockets, enemy SPGs. This is truly war now. And yet, no matter how many times you throw your controller across the room, the game is still fun. It's always cool to see enemies bleed and scream for help, bazooka guys exploding themselves, and finally get to blow everyone up with your well-deserved attack helicopter. It's like being shot in the arm. It hurts a bunch, but you can still walk, so it's not all bad. At the same time Cannon Fodder would become a cult classic on the Amiga, its publisher, Version, ported the game to a multitude of home computers and consoles. From MS-DOS to the 3DO, every version is essentially the same, thanks to the incredibly simple controls and to-the-point game design. Some minor changes of relevance are: the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo versions have a password system instead of save slots, and a few music tracks suffered minor changes. Notably, the catchy intro music has no lyrics. The latter also affected the MS-DOS release. Also don't forget that the Mega Drive or Sega Genesis for our American friends also has this. This one. Sorry. This the one that says Yamaha. It lets you do this. Sega! The Atari Jaguar release got a small upgrade in the graphics department. And the 3DO uses all the system capabilities by featuring 3D FMVs as well as a complete upgrade of the game graphics. After the dust settled at the end of the year 2000, 7 years after the release of the original version on the Amiga, Codemasters ported Cannon Fodder to the Game Boy Color, our case of study for today. A game no one remembers anymore, ported to a portable platform whose replacement was a couple of months away from release, because why not? And while we're at it, why not change everything that made the game good in the first place? Let's make the field of view smaller, but keep the range of explosions, so every time a grenade goes off, it clears a quarter of the screen. Let's add a story and pages upon pages of unskippable fluff between missions. And while we're at it, let's give the player the ability to name his foe. You know, because it worked in Pokémon, it surely works in a game whose point is that war is pointless. Let's get completely rid of the squad system. Instead we give the player 2 soldiers, and once those 2 die, we just parachute another 2 in. Oh, and get rid of that pesky map while we're at it. And the one change, the one that really grinds my gears. Let's remove the recruitment hill completely. Instead let's create this 3D menu that completely contradicts the dark humor of the original. Well, even if Codemasters changed most of made the original good, it's still Cannon Fodder on the go, and it isn't all bad. Cannon Fodder on GBC as FMV intros. Yes, on the Game Boy. Also, as I said, the menu is in pre-rendered 3D. And then there is a lot of good changes when it comes to the sound design. First of all, no matter how bad the audio quality is on the Game Boy Color, the intro music has lyrics. Enemies will shout when they spot you, and there is background noise, all very important details missing in the original release and sequential ports. I think I see. Good sound design gives an additional layer of immersion to a game, and this version of the game gets all the points on the sound department. So here we go, soldiers, a beautiful example of how game design choices can make a game different, interesting, but most important of all, fun. Because war has never been so much fun. I'm Divagante for Off The Relic, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time, soldier. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to blow up some stuff.